Podcast. Now, one of the stories that I took away from Milano-Cortina was Team Italy, but more in particular, their head coach, Eric Bouchard, who hadn't actually been in the role for that long. You know, literally this time last year, Italy were on the search for a new coach to take over and, you know, lead the team going into what was going to be a home games. And I just found his story, you know, so fascinating. And it's a story that I felt really inspiring. And I feel for me, made me feel like he should have been a lead candidate for the various coaching vacancies that we had across the PHL. Because obviously Boston had one, TO had one, both Vancouver had one, and then of course the question of, you know, what we're going to do coach hirings across the expansion teams. So there were plenty of opportunities to try and, you know, sneak his way onto a roster, but alas, not to be. But I think he would be a really great, viable asset to the PHL if he was to get a coach position. But no. Come on, let's be honest, George. Is there a reason we're doing this episode? It's because you think he's sexy. Admit it! Admit it! I'm not going there. I am not going there. You know full well I'm a man of needs. Deal with it. I'm not going there. I'm not going there. So do you know what? You two could just hush. You could just sit still, look pretty for a change, and I will. Oh, that's us told. That's us told, and I'm just going to lead off. Right, here we go. So, is everyone sitting comfortably? Good. Now I'll begin. This is probably going to be the closest you're ever going to get to me doing CBB's bedtime. Because these days that's just filth! Filth, you dirty bastards. Right. Team Italy shocked the hockey world at the Olympics before turning heads again in the World Championship. Meet Eric Bouchard, the coach behind Italy's remarkable rise, who could be a perfect fit in the PHL. I can't say enough good things about Eric. He was the reason why Team Italy had so much success. Laura Fortina, one of the Team Italy's leaders from 2026 Olympics, told the Hockey News. Fortina is a veteran of the women's game before representing Italy in Milano-Cortina. She played in 2 Olympics and won gold with Team Canada in 2014. She's seen just about everything. So how did someone who didn't even know 6 months before he would be coaching at the Olympics end up transforming the entire program? So the story goes back to September last year, so September 2025. Most knew him from the men's game, so 4 seasons as an assistant coach in the QMJHL, a gold medal with Canada's under-17s, and a junior AA championship as a head coach in Langlois. But he also had strong roots in women's hockey. So Bouchard previously worked with the Montreal Canadiens, trained women's players at 2102 Centre since 2022, and was deeply familiar with the women's game. So this is a quote from him. I've always had tremendous respect for women's hockey, which played an important role in my career, Bouchard said. My time with the Montreal Canadiens was huge for my development. It was the first time I coached adults and it gave me a lot more tools afterward. So after receiving permission from the Shoringen Cataracts, Bouchard joined Team Italy for just 2 days in Bolzano during the first week of November. He knew every minute mattered. I had a 24-hour window with the players, an evening meeting, 2 practices and individual meetings, all squeezed into a 48-hour span, recalled the Montreal native. Making a strong first impression was extremely important. Since he had never taken a team in the middle of a season, Bouchard consulted several experienced hockey minds who went through situations like this, including Daniel Renaud, Pascal Dupuis, Guy Bouchard, and Kevin Deneen. Did I pronounce it? He also borrowed a page from Martin St. Louis by insisting his first meeting include not only players but also staff members and federation representatives. I told them who I was, what I believed in, and why I was there, said Bouchard. I told them we were going to shock the hockey world. That first speech was the moment for team realised Bouchard was the right person for the job. The impact he had on all the girls in the room, the passion in his speech, he showed us that he really wanted to be here, that he was going to give his heart and soul to the group, and we're going to believe and trust everything he tells us to do, what he has said. In preparing for the 2026 Olympics, not only did Bouchard travel to Europe, but Team Italy came to Montreal to centralise as a team, train and play exhibition games against U Sports teams. Soon after, the team centralised in Montreal, and Bouchard quickly realised the programme lacked resources. Players still didn't know where they would stay. They lacked equipment. The stress level was high, so Bouchard knew he would have to take matters into his own hands. Alongside strength and conditioning coach Marie-Claude Lapointe, 21OT Centre manager Raphael Poulot, and assistant coach Alexandre Tremblay, he organised housing and transportation and even personally bought metro passes for players. At one point, he drove a U-Haul carrying the team's equipment from the airport because the team still didn't have an equipment manager. And he did that on his birthday. I forgot I had a birthday that year, he laughed. Bouchard also organised additional exhibition games and helped secure $10,000 in support through local sponsorships thanks to his friend and mentor Pierre Petroni. Some players didn't even have a second stick or an extra set of blades. It made no sense to me that future Olympians had to pay for their own sticks, Bouchard said. What he did for us in Montreal, what he did behind the scenes, and how he invested in the group is absolutely incredible, remembered Cordino. He went above and beyond the call of duty of what a head coach needs to do. I don't think I have enough words to say thank you, because what he's done for us, thank you, is not good enough. He's inspired our entire team. Needing an assistant coach, Bouchard brought in close friend Pierre-Alexandre Poulin, while also organising team building activities and conferences that helped make the centralisation camp a major success. Beyond systems and structure, Bouchard focused heavily on relationships. Communicating with each player and getting to know them off the ice was very important, he explained. We trained alongside them in the gym. There was a real family atmosphere. That culture quickly translated onto the ice. The player pushed the team hard, harder than many players had ever experienced, while still maintaining an honest and human approach. We knew you're tired, we are too, he told them. What you do when no one is watching, that's when discipline kicks in. We don't start winning on February 5th, we start winning now. At the Olympics in Milano-Cortina, Bouchard showed an ability to consistently adapt. Against France, he called a nervous team early in the game. Against Sweden, he shuffled lines, moved defender Nadia Matuidi to forward, and changed goaltenders. Against the powerhouse United States, he focused on disrupting rhythm, slowing the pace, and frustrating opponents whenever possible. The result was historic. Italy won 2 games, qualified for the quarterfinals for the first time ever, and avoided the type of blowout many expected against the Americans as Team Italy killed off all 5 American power plays. Even after the Olympics, Bouchard's work continued. Following exit meetings with players, attention quickly turned towards the Women's World Championship Division 1 Group A tournament in Budapest. But the problem, tournament overlapped with QMJHL playoffs. Bouchard's ability was uncertain, and players quietly followed Schrodinger's playoff run, hoping he would become available. That alone spoke volumes about how respected he had become within the group. When it was confirmed that Bouchard couldn't travel to Budapest, Alexandre Tremblay was named head coach for the tournament. Still, Bouchard remained heavily involved behind the scenes, speaking with Tremblay several times a day. Since Belen couldn't be there as well, Bouchard even recruited former Montreal Victoire assistant coach and former Montreal Canadiens player Eric Bouchard to join the coaching staff. I did it because I fell in love with this group of players. I never expected to become so attached to them. I even told them that aside from my girlfriend, they were the greatest love story of my life. I never imagined I'd end up forming such a deep bond with them. Once Schrodingen was finally eliminated, Bouchard immediately flew to Budapest with 2 games still left in the tournament. Only the coaching staff knew he was coming. When he walked into the video room, players were stunned. Cortina burst into tears. I'm not sure why I was crying when you are surrounded by someone who cares so much. That's powerful. I couldn't believe this guy flew across the world to come here for 2 days to watch us and be with us. If that doesn't show how much Eric cared about the team, I don't know what else does. And it got me emotional. It's very rare to find that nowadays. He's so much more than a coach. In the end, Team Italy did not capture gold, but still enjoyed a bronze, but still earned a bronze medal. The best result in program history, and an achievement the entire group could be proud of. Beyond the medal, Bouchard built something bigger: belief, culture, accountability, and trust. He understands women's hockey inside and out. He knows how to maximize limited resources. He connects with players. He adapts quickly, and very few available candidates possess a resume quite like his. Any team would be so fortunate to have a coach like him, concluded Fortino. Opportunities will come Eric, I can see him in the AHL, AHL, PHL. He would make any team successful anywhere he decides to go. His future is very bright. And there ends the story. So yeah, so I just literally have been blown away by the story. I mean, honestly, when it comes to PHR, we would like to see more female coaches get in the role. But we don't mind having male coaches if they've got the experience to back it up. I mean, coaches like Chris Spark, Steve O'Rourke, when they entered the league last year, they had no experience on their resumes coaching women's hockey. Now, Chris Spark, of course, did eventually all prove us wrong. I was all eating massive amounts of humble pie throughout last season. But Steve O'Rourke never really managed to prove why he got the contract he signed. So he very quickly was made to walk the plank. Okay. But Eric Bouchard is somebody who knows the game inside out, knows the women's hockey inside out. He knows how tough it is for these players to get the ice time, have the resources. So he knows the strides and tribulations that they have to go through in the sport. And I think whichever team you were to put him on, I think he would just do wonders with that team. So I'm a bit surprised he hasn't found his way onto at least a coaching staff role in any of the teams. Because I think he would just be an amazing asset to our league. I think he would bring a lot to our league. And I think whichever team he was to land on, I think you would have to look at immediately think that's your next World Cup contender right there and then. Yeah. So his future definitely is bright. So we'll see where it goes next. Because obviously he's still going to be involved with Team Italy. I really hope Team Italy can do well. I would love to, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I would just love to see Italy back on the world stage, because it's been 20 years apart since Italy had been in the Olympics. The last time Italy was in the Winter Olympics was back in 2006 when they hosted it in Torino, and back then they didn't do as well. They didn't get to the knockout stages back then. So you fast forward 20 years and the improvement they've made, getting wins over Japan and France, being very competitive against Germany. They got so close to getting wins over Germany! Honestly, we watched that game of course, and when that goal for Germany went in, that game winner, my heart kind of, sank. Because I didn't care who was going to play us in the quarters, because we were going to face E1 and we'll be fine. My heart kind of sank because I kind of want Italy to just get another win on their belt, so they can boast how they got 3 wins in the groups rather than just being 2. But you see Italy's performance, they really did bring it to that. They did not make life easy for their opponents at all, even against Sweden, where you just look at that game, you thought, okay, it's going to be easy for Sweden there, and it kind of was. But they still brought it. They still brought it to the best of the best. And they did very well in that first period in the qualifier against us. They did very well in that first period. They did make it quite easy. And of course, yes, they did very good on the penalty kill. But once we got the floodgates open, we just didn't look back. And but Italy could be so proud of what they achieved in that tournament. So I just feel like this is somebody who would be, on paper, would be the perfect asset to have in the PHL. So I think this is something we need to watch out for over the next few years, because I feel like his future is just so bright, and I feel like he belongs in the PHL. I think we need to try and snap him up before one of the other men's leagues tries, because I just feel like he belongs. He knows what he's talking about when it comes to the women's game. He's given his heart and soul to the game. He's done so much for the game, particularly for Team Italy over this past cycle, this past year. So I kind of feel that he belongs with the PHL. I think he belongs in women's hockey. So it's not many men would say that. There's not many men who would say gets to have that medal bowler. But you just saw what improvements he's done with the program. And it's I feel like Italy's one of those nations that is on the rise, and it's largely thanks to the work that Eric Bouchard has done with getting this team to where it needs to go over the next few years. So I feel like Italy did play well enough in the first half of that World Championship in Budapest, but unfortunately it then just fell off the rails a bit. And Italy also were done by the fact we had the new format in place, because obviously we have a new format now in place for promotion and relegation, and that is only the team that wins Division 1A gets to be promoted. Whereas with the old system, Italy might have had a chance, because the old system was the top two, but now it's just a simple 1 in 1 out when it comes to promotion from Division 1A to the top tier, and vice versa with relegation. It's one comes down, one goes up. Yeah, but I was very impressed with Italy being able to carry on from where they left off in Milano-Cortina. Because for them, that was only about 5 or 6 weeks after Milano-Cortina. So you've literally just in February, you've just hosted Olympics, and now 6 weeks later, you're going to Budapest for the chance to potentially join the top tier in 2027. That amount of pressure and that short turnaround, that would put any team under pressure. Not this team. They came out there and they gave it their all and they gave the best. You know, would it have changed if Bouchard was available? I don't know. We'll never know. But you can just tell his prints are all over this team. All of the organisation, and I just feel his story is so. It's such an inspirational story for me, and I just feel like he is somebody that I think we should have in this league. So if he was coming to the PHL in a role, I would absolutely would have loved to have him in the league as a whole. His story is absolutely so inspirational. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there. So thank you so much for me. Next time, take care, Dr. Freeze.